Life with the Provolone family was never dull. I was always going to meetings with Vincenzo as well as weddings and funerals. I liked the weddings more than the funerals because there was more food. And I got to meet so many people traveling with Vincenzo. Politicians, actors and actresses, singers, big shots, religious leaders, everybody but the FBI and the media. Vincenzo always said that not even a dog should associate with them. I also met Benji, Spuds McKenzie, and that little Taco Bell Chihuahua. I even made it with that Chihuahua, which impressed Vincenzo, but I've got to tell you, honest, it was no big deal. She was just another bitch to me. Vincenzo always wanted the best for me. When Vito said that maybe I should go to an obedience school, Vincenzo said, hell no, no obedience school was good enough for no dog of his, and he sent me out to this place in the country, twice a week. It had horses and people dressed up like waiters, and the dogs were expected to chase after fox. I didn't like this much, a real understatement, believe me, but to please Vincenzo, I pretended like I did. It wasn't easy. Catching rats is one thing. I didn't want nothing to do with no fox. One good thing about it, it was a place where I could bark all I wanted to. They loved it when I barked out there. Around the house, Vincenzo didn't like any barking. It made him nervous. Vito said it was a family code. He called it the omerta, the code of silence. So I was quiet in the house, except when a stranger came to the door, and then I could bark my head off. Another thing I did for Vincenzo was to take part in these dog shows he entered me in. I hated this more than chasing after those crazy foxes. I didn't feel comfortable at the shows, not at first. I mean, I ain't got the long fur and the ribbons and a name like Champion Sigmund Alsace Wienerhound. And I don't jump through no hoops or play the ukulele, if you know what I mean. But I went along for Vincenzo. I could see it meant a lot to him. And the funny thing was, I won every competition I entered. Vincenzo liked that part the most. He'd hug me and hold up the trophy and laugh like hell and say, hey, little Goomba, look at you, you're a star. We showed him, didn't we? A sidelight on those competitions, which I tell you in strictest confidence, is that it was a great place to meet bitches. They'd act snooty at first, like I was just some mangy mutt, and they wouldn't give me the time of day, but after the judging was over and I'd won, it was a different story. They couldn't get enough of me then. Backstage, I have had many wild parties with just about every breed you can think of. I traveled a lot with Vincenzo. He took me everywhere. He had homes in Chicago and Florida, a secret place down in the Caribbean, and the suite in the Vegas hotel. I liked Vegas. There were lots of show dogs there, plenty of action, plus Vincenzo would order for me right off the hotel menu, room service. This little mutt ate like a king. The one place I wasn't allowed with Vincenzo was when he was called for the Senate hearings. The senators declared that I wasn't good enough to enter their chambers. I was so proud and happy when Vincenzo said I was better than the whole lot of them. And when I left a deposit on the steps of the Senate office building, Vincenzo picked me up and said, the Provolones have spoken. That was shortly before he was killed. It was a sad day for all of us in the Provolone family when somebody blew Vincenzo's head off at Angie's Chop House, his favorite restaurant. I would have been there, and they might have shot me too, but I stayed home that one time on account of my leg was sore where one of the horses kicked me. Life is different now in the Provolone family with Vincenzo gone. They still have their meetings, but there's too much shouting and arguing about who's going to take over. Nothing is decided. Also, Sonny Provolone, Hold the Onions Fischetti, Learning Disability Ginocchio have been whacked, along with Sal, Deviated Septum, and Tony. Not that anyone could ever replace Vincenzo, but it's very important, this decision who will be the new capo. I'm smart enough to sense this. I remember when I messed up in the kitchen and Vincenzo used me for a football. After that, I said to myself, never again, and I wised up. I'm putting my money on the sociopath Bishop, and lately I've been following him around, licking his shoes, as a sign of respect and honor, and a way of showing him that I would never, ever do it in his house.